I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to say. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe? Were you safe?
Fresh off the masses, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote. Come here to cry at the camps and to mourn at the shore for the bodies that float by the wreck of an immigrant boat. Then it's back to their luxury home, couple security booths and a moat. Couple cigars, little escargot, little booze and a soak. Just breathe in the steam and the smoke. Pink salt, lavender, candles are low. Shit, when you do what you do, gotta lighten the load. And he got a life of his own that's a sight to behold. And it's a lot to control, to decipher the code or to siphon the soul. The cost of a good night's sleep for the working elite is a bargain, no matter the toll. Worth any wager, and that comes straight from the mouth of the means to the goal that will swallow us whole. Ripe for the picking if you don't mind mold, and you know I don't. Maybe we're pleasantly prone, maybe we're taking a licking, compliantly ticking and ticking and ticking, but never explode. No, I don't deliver the prettiest image, but damn if it isn't an accurate vision of natural fission, of rage at the system and abject heartbreak, patiently waiting for any who'll listen. That little blue bird who was watching your words is a federal carrier pigeon, a Langley first. It's a patient observer who hears what it wants and is trained for the worst. Oh, you got nothing to hide. They'll be the ones to decide that after they root through your purse, after they read all your text, after they raid your apartment, confiscate all of its contents, then conjure up evidence out of the air on a wing and a prayer and malicious intelligence nonsense. Any presumption of innocence long since gone, right along with your comforts and constants. Historically, first they will come for the communists. So why in the fuck would I say I'm a communist? Well, it might be I love my community more than the monsters of opulence who are holding us hostage, who are vomiting promises. Might be I'm all done seeing our pensions and benefits harvested. Might be I'm all done watching the populace being disarmed in the guise of an armistice. Watching a woman collapse on the floor who will rise no more. She is wheeled out the door and you're next in line for the pharmacist. If you can get me to vote, it's a hard no confidence. But part of the charm of deception is politics wearing the mask of incompetence. It's all in the art of austerity, darling. It's all in the slide of the providence. Until home is as wide as your cubicle height and it's only as deep as your coffin is. Maybe I'm miles away from impatience, aching to break off the head of the snake where the capital lust, reptile brain, and the margin of profit is. Like off with his. Like off with his.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, Were you safe?
All lies will be exposed.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Even though we're not at 100,000 subscribers, I'm still wearing a manly man's kilt. Look out. It's a kilt. It's Kit wearing the kilty kilt. Everybody, listen, I know you're all expecting to wear a blazer and suit and jacket, but listen, folks, listen. Old Kit Kat sometimes gotta cut loose, wear a sweater, wear his manly man's kilt, and say, hey, folks, you know what time it is. It's one of these rare special evening live streams where I'm bringing in the man, the myth, the legend, the musical truth teller of our time, friend of INN, friend of Hard Lens Media. You know him, and you better love him. Give it up for the one, the only, Jesse Jett. Wow,
Hey, sorry, I didn't see you there.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Do you like that intro?
I loved it. I needed a big banner to come run through and just like.
Oh man, yeah. Dude, listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're Detroit Live.
Listen, Jesse. As soon as I get that multi-million-dollar kick deal, I'm buying Soldier Field. You are going to be the front and center person, man.
Oh, I love it.
We're going to fill out this entire stadium. There's going to be trombones playing. There's going to be herbs and spices everywhere. And everyone's going to be getting higher than a kite, as they should be. Welcome, everybody, to this very special evening live stream of Hard Lens Media. We've got a lot to talk about. And plus, Jesse Jett has a brand new album coming out. A lot of music happening. Plus, there's some stories we're going to be talking about as well. But Jesse, for the lovely, beautiful people out there, how are you doing, my friend, my brother? What is ongoing? How are you doing? What's going on, man?
Oh my God, so much. I'm thrilled to be back. It's always fun. I mean, the intro alone got me so hyped. At first I was like, should I coffee? Should I beer? I was like, no, I'm awake enough. And so I chose beer, and I'm glad I did because you just gave me all the hype. Like,
good.
Coffee can't do that. I mean, I've had good coffee, but coffee can't do that.
Good. As I should indeed, because my friend, there is so much to talk about, and especially in this day and age where we're seeing the precipice of a potential World War III happening. We've got a presidential election cycle that's not the most important. It's not. It's the most hilarious and most interesting, I would say. Hilarious and interesting. And you know what? We can have that debate, but I would say this is very interesting and hilarious. Yeah, it's not the most important. It's not the most important.
I'm with you on all this. Yep, not the most important. Possibly the most hilarious.
Okay. As for the most interesting, well, again, it's debatable, but
I see what
again, nonetheless, I mean, we are still dealing with the fact of, hey, Trump is still the front and center name that's triggering a lot of the vote blue, no matter who lives. But even then, we are dealing with so much madness. So, before we even talk about any of the stories, what I wanted to run with you is that, a lot of your music, a lot of your poetry has been talking about our neoliberal nightmare, censorship, suppression, war, brutality, man's inhumanity against man, and the subtle drops of hope as well. And especially now, with this election cycle, a lot of your music, I would say, resonates now more than ever. And, when I play it, what I'm seeing, especially at the end of all my live streams, is that everyone's saying this song still connects. This song still connects. This song connects to something 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, like, damn, all the music from Jesse Jett still hits. So I think it's important for me to at least ask you this. For your music, were you prepared for any of this stuff to really still hit home even now, especially after all the stuff that you've done years ago. It's still connects to so much of stuff that we're dealing with now. And as an artist, I think that's the highest compliment, because when your music or art is still connecting to things even now in this day and age, it shows the test of time. So
Absolutely.
your
And
thought process on everything. Go ahead, take it away.
That's a really great question, because honestly, the first thing I planned to sacrifice was that. When I made the first song that kind of got this ball rolling, which was Town Hall, that's the first song on the Virus, I shared it with my brother, who did the album art for that, as well as Inauguration Gift, the first two covers. And he said, I love these lyrics, but he goes, you're so specific about who you're talking about. You're talking about Biden and you talk about Bernie. He goes, like, don't you think if you changed those to just he or the politician or the candidate, that it would last beyond this election? Because he's like, it's kind of locked into this moment in time. And that's true, but I also, part of why I was so excited to do that was because I felt like anyone that did political music that I heard, it was fairly vague. I didn't hear people naming names and pointing an actual finger at this politician or this one who gutted this bill or this one who denied us X. And I was like, I don't mind if it's kind of a snapshot of a place in time. And if anything, I hope that it's not relevant soon. I hope that none of these talking points hold water in 4 years' time. I had no idea so many of those things would start happening. And there are plenty of times you can ask Indy, we'll be doing a show and I'll read a piece I haven't read in a while, and we'll be like, oh, look at that. Like, it's crazy. Exactly. And again, I've said a lot. I'm trying to score points for being right. I desperately want to be wrong about what I'm talking about. I really hope I'm wrong about all of this. But so far, unfortunately, a lot of these lyrics are popping up later. I'm like, damn, this not only still holds water, this feels like it could have been written yesterday about what's going on. And, I was telling my wife last week, I was like, I wish I didn't already have a chlorine gas toxic disaster piece, but I have a whole EP about East Palestine. And then I was like, I wish I didn't have a natural disaster turned land grab piece, but I have Kings of Colony about Lahaina. And here we are in Nashville, Unfortunately, the playbook gets used against us and recycled really quickly. And it's like, here's the new year's worth of all the same shit that they inflicted on us last year. Yeah, so I did not plan for any of it to hold up because I really didn't want it to. I am not really capable of thinking that far ahead anymore because there's so much terror to be had in the now, Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for all that. Like the future's got to get here soon enough, no matter what I want to do about it. So, I really do try to look at the music as this moment in time, because half the time what I'm talking about gets lost in the stream of other disasters. Here we are a year and a half later, and I'm talking to people at work who haven't heard about what was going on in Georgia. And I say, it's just like East Palestine. And they go, East Palestine? I was like, Ohio. The train car? 100,000 pounds of vinyl chloride in the air? And they're like, no, I didn't hear anything about that. Like, God damn, but this is what we're up against. So.
Yeah. And, I'm seeing people talk about North Carolina and, of course, what happened to East Palestine and Lahaina. And, maybe it might be pushing a little ahead of things, but I want to pull up this article here. It's from the New York Post. But we did talk about this before we went live. Georgia environmental official collapses and dies near state capitol after testifying about a bio lab fire. Now, for those of you who may not have been paying attention, or for those of you who might have forgotten, because I call it the blurring effect. And what is the blurring effect? It is when we have our internet, our technology replace our stories with the next big shiny object, because never forget, it wasn't too long ago where we had a person testify before Congress. Yeah, there are hostile extraterrestrial alien life forms that may not be a too big fan of humanity, which is like, if that was said during the 90s, I mean, look. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm looking at the '90s in rose-colored glasses or something like that. But like now, it's like, yeah. And is it going to help me pay my taxes or make sure I'm not paying any money? Because a lot of people are going to be like that. Like, okay, yeah, aliens. Like, watch extraterrestrials land. Be like, alien humans, we are here to take over your planet. Yeah, fuck you. You going to make my life better? Well, hold on. Did you not understand what we just said to you? It's like, yeah, like, hey, we're desensitized to everything, like, but we have listening. Better yet. Oh, so you're taking over? Well, shit. Where do you want me? It's like, come on. But we have a biofire lab. So what's going on here? So, it's very apropos and resonates with your song "Kings of Colony," where again a state is at risk of, again, there's at least 20,000 people that were told to stay under shelter in Georgia. This is before Hurricane Helena even made landfall. And I know right now everyone's focused on Hurricane Milton, but before Hurricane Milton, before Hurricane Helena, there was a biofire lab in Georgia. So a Georgia environmental official died after suddenly collapsing near the state capitol on Tuesday during a public meeting on last month's toxic chemical plant Inferno outside Atlanta, officials said. Kenny Johnson, a Rockdale County Soil and Water Conservation District supervisor, testified alongside business owners and leaders about the biolab chemical fire in Conyers, about 25 miles outside of Atlanta, which spewed clouds of hazardous chlorine gas and smoke throughout the area. What could go wrong? Shortly afterward, the 62-year-old collapsed, was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he died. Nothing suspicious about that. Suspicious. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office said that due to circumstances of Johnson's death, the Georgia Bureau investigation has agreed to investigate. 11 alive reported. An official cause of death will be determined once the autopsy is completed. Say it with me.
Right. Oh, heart attack. This is crazy. It looks like this guy did a whole bunch of cocaine and his
Yeah. He did. A whole bunch of booger sugar.
Pre-existing condition, heart disease, whatever. Right.
Yeah, nothing to worry about.
They really strung people along so badly for the first few days of this because they had the shelter-in-place order. And then that turned into, well, depending on which way the wind's blowing, you might not need to. If you're worried, if you're afraid, then sure, close your doors and windows and cover your drains and don't go outside. But again, I think it's funny that the news is so content to fearmonger about everything under the sun and make you fucking terrified of whatever the topic is, until it's something like this giant chlorine gas cloud hovering over your city, and they're like, I mean, it's fine. I guess if you're fucking afraid, you can go inside if you want to, be afraid about it or whatever. But they quickly changed that to go to work, go to school. You're fine during the day, but at night, there's a shelter-in-place order.
Yeah.
As if to say, it's only dangerous if the sun's not out.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Anyways. I mean, so far, it looked like 6 times higher dioxin levels than East Palestine, Ohio had, which is terrifying.
It's really depressing too. And you know what? When we do this live stream, I'm going to be posting the links to our 2 documentaries. For those of you who don't know, or if you've been watching Hardlands Media from the beginning, we did 2 documentaries about the industrial pollution that's happening in Indiana. And for those of you who don't know, regulated toxic waste is being dumped into Lake Michigan and in our air, where dilution is the solution. So, Jesse, imagine in one hand you have a whole bunch of toxic waste. Hold out your hand for the people, Jesse. In one hand you got a whole bunch of toxic waste, and the other hand you have a whole bunch of water. And then you mix that together, and you put in more water, and then you push it into Lake Michigan. And then there you go. Problem solved. Dilution is a solution.
Okay. I'm trying to find something to wipe my hands off.
No, Jesse, that's not how it works, my friend.
Just committing to the bit.
I know, exactly. But yeah. So just so you guys know, after delivering the remarks, Johnson complained of shortness of breath and subsequently collapsed in the hallway after meeting. after the meeting, according to a statement from the Georgia House Democrat Caucus. Oh, the Democrat Caucus.
And this man went off. This guy was like, I've been trying to get people to listen about what a ticking time bomb this place was for 6 years. He said, these chemicals will kill you. If you've inhaled them in any capacity, you need to see a doctor. And then he finishes his testimony and he
dies.
Yeah.
Nothing suspicious
had
about that.
Reports of dead birds. That's a red flag. I don't know how large or what color flag soil and water conservation guy dying is, but it's a new one. It's certainly a new flag that we've not experienced yet.
Yeah, exactly. So Kenny dedicated years as a soil and water conservation district representative and as an environmental justice advocate, said Senator or State Representative Viola Davis. His unwavering commitment to environmental justice and his testimony to the effects of the biolab chemical fire on the community remain etched in our memories. Oh my God, nothing's going to be done. Johnson was one of a growing number of local Georgia officials and lawmakers calling for the biolab to shut its doors after the fire forced 17,000 to evacuate the area and around 90,000 more to shelter in place as the toxic plume spread. Oh my God, we're going to be deformed. You know, as a kid, I remember watching that movie Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the sequel to Planet of the Apes, where the humans were mutated underground. It's like, are we walking towards that dark future?
Chud 2. Bud the Chud.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bud the well, hold on. Bud the Chud. We don't talk about Bud the Chud. That was a terrible sequel.
I broke some sort of unspoken rule.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Stairway and Guitar Center.
Exactly. Now, the first movie, Chud, Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller. Now that's a work of art. They don't make movies like that anymore. Especially that scene. Do you remember that scene where like the guy actually walks across them and they're like by the toxic waste and they're like, like the music's pumping up. Do you remember that scene?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's like, man, the music to that scene is pure gold. But anyways, folks, speaking of pure gold, we're living in a nightmare. The blaze erupted on September 29th. And what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Just days after Hurricane Helene decimated the community, when a malfunctioning fire sprinkler had sprayed water on volatile chemicals, sparking a chain reaction and ended in a sky-high eruption of multicolored toxic smoke visible from not 10, not 20, but 30 miles away, officials said. The chlorine gas wrought havoc in the area throughout the week as crews battled the fire, forcing thousands to hide in their homes or leave the area completely. What could go wrong? As of Wednesday, those within the 2 mile of the biolab were still under shelter-in-place orders from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. based on air monitoring data, according to the company and local officials. Biolab manufacturers
trichloroisocyanuric.
Jesse, say that again one more time for the people.
Trichloroisocyanuric.
There we go. Acid. See, I said the easy word, which is used to kill germs in swimming pools and spas. Teamwork next to dreamwork. There you go. The chemical is safe when dissolved in bodies of water. Bullshit. But when it makes contact with smaller amounts of water, like from fire sprinklers in this case, it can produce an explosive reaction that releases toxic chlorine gas.
I'm writing that word down. I have to use that.
Not glass or grass. I meant gas.
Trichloroisocyanuric.
There you go. That's why I have you here, Jesse. That was my
the longest similar word I used in a piece was polyfluoroalkyl. But this would blow that out of the water, so to speak.
Well. Guess who knows how to read words? It's Jesse Jett himself, the music poet of our time. So there you go, the master music poet of our time. So
some people have said that talking is my fantastic.
There you go, and fantastic plastic. So as it should be. But there's one thing that really stands out, and that is for the fact of we've seen this before. In Flint, Michigan, in East Palestine, Ohio, and even in Lahaina as well. I want to give a special shout out to Craig Jardula Pasta, who did his documentary earlier last year in regards towards the wildfires that took place in Lahaina on the island of Maui. And, the one thing that stays true, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but when somebody says "but," I don't want to sound like this.
No, please.
But
Go ahead. Yes.
no, please go on. Tell us how you don't want to sound like that. But
go on.
Whenever you see a natural disaster like this happen, you see these people called venture capitalists, swoop on in from the skyline and feed upon the corpse remain of communities like the carrion crows that they are, the carrion vultures that they are, and thus displacing people, buying up properties at a very low cost because people are desperate, because people don't have money, because we don't have Medicare for all, richest country in the world, and we can't take care of our people. We can bail out Wall Street and the big banks, and we give billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine, but we can't take care of the American people. And this biolab fire is taking place here. So in regards towards some of your music that you've talked about in regards to corruption and abuse of power, I mean, are there moments where you wonder, like, okay, my song came out 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I didn't expect it to hit the same as it still does now because nothing has changed. I mean, as an artist, when you do, because you've done a lot of political commentary, but as an artist, I mean, when you're covering this stuff, I mean, are there moments where you're like, my God, like it still hits today?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's bleak. Again, I wish it didn't hold up. I wish we were able to look back and like, oh man, thank God we fixed that. Or I'm sure that's not a problem anymore. But that's just not the case, It's I know it almost feels weird too because like this is such a weird music to try to promote like you're supposed to promote music. I mean, it's convenient in that like, oh hey, here's a disaster that mirrors the same one or the same kind of political corruption I talked about a year ago. So I can just drop this song because this line could apply to fucking 20 other things they're stooping us with right now. But it's also hard not to feel like it's kind of like predatory because you're just like, hey, oh, this new horrible thing happened. Well, I've got a song just like that. I've got the perfect piece for that. But I do think it stands to show that this isn't new. What they're doing, and like I said, the playbook is very stale, and yet people keep falling for the same shit or not wanting to recognize patterns because it's terrifying. But you have to. I mean, otherwise you're just walking into that same wall over and over again and going like, who put this wall here? It's not going to change. Like I said, I would love to all of a sudden play a song and have it like not hold up. Luckily, the one thing that I do have now, the first piece I wrote about Julian Assange that speaks specifically about him, being in Belmarsh. Unfortunately, my other Assange pieces still hold up in that the threat to journalism that was intertwined with his case is still the same. He had to plead guilty to journalism for his freedom. And you could never in a million years hold it against him because he toughed it out for an incredibly, insanely long time through just such inhumane conditions.
Yeah.
But, the threat to free speech remains the same. But it is nice to look at that piece and know that he's not dealing with that, to know that he's not suffering like that and that he's with his kids.
I do agree.
One piece that, has aged differently, and it's nice to see. I want to see more of that. I desperately want to see more of that.
Yeah. When you speak of Julian Assange, I know that a lot of people were wondering why was he being silent for so long. And look, folks, I mean, I'll say this about myself. I couldn't last a single minute what was going on with Julian Assange. I know I'd break.
Yeah,
now
I would not fare well in a prison environment.
No, I wouldn't fare well either. I know for a fact, without a shadow of doubt, I would have broken. And so I understand why he took his time, but at least he still has his fire and he knows what's going on. And I do wish him the best in his long road to recovery. So I think it's only fair And good to maybe ask you if you could bring up the song Kings of Colony, especially for our people in Florida, in Georgia, in North Carolina, and South Carolina. Even though
anywhere where they want your land.
Yeah, even though,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, even though the hurricane has passed, people are on a long road to recovery. And what I would say to our audience members in Florida or Georgia or North Carolina or South Carolina, we here at Hardlands Media and INN do not give a damn how you voted. We don't care how you voted, people. I don't care. We don't care what generation you're part of. You're our people. That's right. You're our people. And now's the time where you have to defend each other, because these vulture capitalists are going to come swooping in and taking your homes and your property. And if you don't stand together, they're going to kill you all. They're going to take your money. They're going to take your property. They will do it. They don't like you. They don't think about you. And they're protected by the politicians. We are all that we have. And a year ago, when Jett made a song about Kings of Colony, it is a sign of what's to come, because that was a canary in the coal mine. What happened to people of Lahaina was the most devastating wildfire in U.S. history and Hawaiian history. But that was all of us. And look at how they treated us. People of Georgia, North and South Carolina, Florida, stand together. Your fight's only begun. So, Jett, I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to give the floor to you. Take it away. In regards towards the Kings of Colony, speak truth to power, brother.
Ooh, we're going to tune that up just a little touch. It's a little chilly in the basement this evening, folks. Trust me, it's worth this 10 seconds. Otherwise, any pets you have in the vicinity will be incredibly aggrieved. Okay, Kings of Colony, same scene, take 2. We're also in drop tuning, and the acoustics don't love that. This, fun fact, is the first time I'll play this song in the tuning it's actually in on the album, because it's a step down on the album, but I never take the time to play it like that anytime I've done it before. So this is the first time you're getting the actual, like, official version. Why is it so bad? Here we go. That's better. Okay, take 3. Kings of Colony. There we go. Grading on a curve now.
Now what you're following, that's idolatry, that's just fake. And all that wallowing that you tolerate, that's not faith. The kings of colony watched autonomy make our graves. The kings of colony know no policy, only rape. Now once you fall asleep, it won't bother you what they say. But the kings of colony, while they slaughter, they still complain. Then we say, please cover me, still too solemnly, still too plain. All hail economy, praise the pharmacy, seas in flames.
They're buying up Hawaii, and the smoke's not even cleared. Those vultures smelled the fire, and an enterprise appeared. Investment opportunities were melted down. Communities leave vacant space BlackRock has been lusting for years. The council meets in private, and they don't discuss survivors. Concerns among construction groups are all that Asheville hears. They'll wander through your city with this mocking sword of pity, next to Oprah and her camera crew who tore the Trail of Tears, where footage flows as freely as the stream of liquid steel and the pools of pure aluminum that trickle down your wheels. And Biden's here to say he knows exactly how it feels, cause he had a kitchen fire once and had to miss a meal. And people still believe that piece of shit deserved your vote, like he's not why supplies were being smuggled in by boat, like he's not why our citizens were forced to stay and roast. And he can't unfreeze your funding, folks, cause Azov needs it most. I'll bet my every dollar Biden watched it with a smile. I'll bet he knows the whereabouts of every missing child. He's just the kind of man who lives to trample something tribal, collecting culture's corpses just to throw them on the pile. Like he and all his buddies didn't dream about the day when those who dared defy the donor class were cleared away. When home insurance triples and you can't afford to stay, your land falls to the hands of those whose windfall fanned the flames. The state will take Lahaina and they'll bastardize its name, and tourism will swarm it all the same. You see, the state we left Lahaina shows the ground rules of the game, the planes that in the night ignite the planes. And if questions raised that reckon the potential use of lasers, I suggest you take a closer shave by way of Occam's razor. And if those civilians stood between this country and its gains, there's really nothing further to explain. Because you may know this already, if you truly know our past, but it ain't the first occasion and it will not be the last, where Americans are kettled in and made to bear the blast, barricaded in and left for ash. How many in Lahaina now are lying there awake and still can hear the city that we let the fire take? They still hear all those people that we left there in our wake, instructed by police to stay in place. So look to the horizon, 'cause a fire comes for you. Desire made incarnate of the power-hungry few who've instructed the police to not let anybody through, to barricade them in, and so they do.
All lies will be exposed.
God willing, man.
All lies will be exposed, to quote the great prophet of our time, Cat Williams. Jesse, as always.
God damn it.
Hey, listen, Jesse.
You got me with that one so bad.
Hey, hold up, Jesse. Don't you dare.
Oh,
don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay? You've been on this show not once, but numerous times.
Pants check, obligatory pants check, and shoes, as you know. I never do a show barefoot. I'm not a pervert.
Kill check this time. And no, ladies, you're not seeing underneath my kilt.
Yes, please.
Shame on you, ladies. Shame on you. Oh my goodness. But anyways, Jesse, you should know that you should be prepared for jokes and laughs on this, because we've been having a lot of jokes and laughs, and yes, I'll be posting this on Can TV as well, so the people in Chicago are going to see this, so they're going to know that I made you laugh. Now I'm surprised. I'm surprised by this, Jesse. Jett. I'm surprised by this.
Kinky says undies check. We can do that too.
Hey,
you know what?
Hey.
You know I keep that thing on me.
Exactly, always. Kinky, what Kinko? What kind of men do we are? Gentlemen. We wear underwear, and all gentlemen wear underwear.
But I'm also a Florida man, so there's Florida man gentleman is a...
Yeah, exactly. But
the Venn diagram is like a
You know what? You know who also enjoys Venn diagrams? A person named Kamala Harris, because she loves Venn diagrams. She does. Gosh darn it.
I want to make one that's like what can be, what has been,
and unburdened by what will be,
unburdened,
and what has not no be. What has not no be and been unburdened by those that have been and who were and who have come and has not come, but do not come. Do not come. I'm going to come. So, folks, hey, listen, we're not done yet, because we got a whole show for all you beautiful people.
Long shot.
Oh, not by a long shot. Shout out to our Kick people. Shout out to our Rumble people. By the way, Kick, we're even now in this late in the evening, Hardlands Media is the #1 political streaming channel on Kick. So we're gonna take over. When I say we're gonna go on a crusade, we're gonna go on a crusade. Like, step aside, people. We're taking over. But speaking of which, I do think we should move on to another important story that is very important, and I think we need to address it. So, in fact, if I'm going to do this story properly, let's give it the proper due that it deserves, Jesse. All right, so we all know the Grayzone, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate. They are both award-winning journalists, people who have done groundbreaking work, and to which I have to say, we here in the independent media space thank them so much for their support, their sacrifice, and their dedication to covering stories that corporate media won't cover. But it's not just them. They got a lot of great people who are part of their team who are speaking truth to power. And unfortunately, a U.S. citizen, while he's not detained, cannot leave Israel. His name is Jeremy Loffredo. And Israel jails the Grayzone's Jeremy Loffredo, releases him pending investigation. So he's not in prison anymore.
But he can't leave the country.
He can't leave the country. So,
and really, what is Israel except for a big open air prison for most people?
Yeah, especially for the people in Gaza, because the death toll is 44,000. Oh, wait, it actually might be maybe 250,000 dead people to maybe 300 or 400,000, because when you got diseases like polio and the measles or starvation running rampant and journalists and first aid people being killed, my goodness gracious, Cretaceous, the death toll has to be higher than 44,000. We are witnessing a genocide and war crimes happening in real time. So to all you liberals out there, before this war happened, and you know, some of you may have heard this conversation or heard a person speak like this in your lifetime, but they were probably a liberal. And no, liberals, I'm not being mean to you on purpose, but it's mostly a liberal that will say this. And they would say these words, Jesse, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this sometime in your lifetime too. If I was alive during the Civil War era, I would have been part of the Underground Railroad to free the slaves. If I was alive during World War II, I would have been part of the resistance and hide the Jews from the Nazis. No, you wouldn't. Because notice, Jesse, do you see the anti-war protests around?
I think it was my presidential write-in candidate for this election said something along the lines of, whatever you think you would have been doing during the apartheid South or the apartheid South Africa or the Jim Crow South or Nazi Germany, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
And that was Aaron Bushnell, and he knew what he was talking about. People are, I mean, it's not surprising, but it is disgusting when you look in the comments on stories about Jeremy Loffredo. There's plenty of people going, well, I heard from the Washington Post that they were, or no, it wasn't Washington Post, was it? Maybe it was, that did the smear piece on them that said we have reason to believe they have Iranian funding. That that all of a sudden, well, there's grounds for the IDF to say that you're, working with the enemy. And that's not accidental, Jeremy also, it's worth noting, did great work on East Palestine, Ohio. But again, if it was, Anderson Cooper, people would be losing their collective shit right now. But people are desperate to reach for a reason why they can excuse what's happening, if they need to, and they've got a big bottomless bag of those excuses to pull out to say, well, I heard that he was funded by whoever, or that's what you get for supporting Hamas, or whatever they need to say to convince themselves that this isn't an American being held and abused, because it's not like they give you beer and Skittles in Israeli jail. for publishing something that it's worth noting PBS did, and there was an
ABC,
I don't know who the yes, ABC.
ABC, and
the same
PBS
thing,
were
and
yes,
it's not like they're being blindfolded and beaten and detained for it, but
exactly.
yeah.
So
it's disheartening. I wish it wasn't so. I'm not surprised, because that's what people do when they see something happening that should disgust them. Instead, they're like, "How can I make myself okay with this?" That's just the gut reaction for most Americans.
I mean, for myself, I find this action and look, I was saying to people that even if Julian Assange was to be free, and again, this was before we knew he would be free. I was telling people like, hey, brace yourself because the censorship's going to get crazier. The jackboot's going to be coming down on a lot of us, and we have to be prepared. And it's not just independent media. It's a lot of content creators who don't even cover or talk about the stories that we cover. I mean, there's going to be a big axe coming down, and I want to be wrong about this. And look, I'm not saying that one is lesser than the other, but I know that if there's going to be a Kamala presidency, I know it's going to get bad. I'm not saying things would be better under a Trump presidency. I'm not saying that at all. But as somebody who has seen what happens under the Biden administration and what happened under those 4 years, brace yourself, folks, if Kamala gets in. So be sure to follow your favorite content creator on Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, or Kick, or wherever the else they're at, because it's going to get worse. So let's talk about this article from the Grayzone. It came out today, and it's only fair that we do at least talk about it. On October 11th, journalist Jeremy Loffredo was ordered released from Israeli jail. Thank goodness. Israeli soldiers arrested a Jewish American, sorry, I didn't say that properly, Jewish American reporter, so he's a U.S. citizen, and 3 other journalists at a checkpoint in the West Bank on October 8th. According to one of the jailed reporters, Andre, the reporters blindfolded them tightly, roughed them up, drawing guns at them at one point, and hauled them off to the detention center in Jerusalem. The soldiers illegally requested that the journalists hand in their phones, which they shouldn't, and then they refused. The soldiers pointed a gun at one of the journalists, hit him with their hands and the barrel of the gun, then dragged him out of the car and slammed him onto concrete. Wow, that's a U.S. citizen you're hitting, Israel. What's wrong with you? Thankfully, we have proud U.S. politicians. Oh, wait, no, we don't, because they got AIPAC babysitters. When lying on the ground, they pointed 2 guns at his head, and the rest of the journalists exited the car, and the military raided it, confiscating phones, cameras, and personal items. Andre recalled that in the course of abusing the journalists, soldiers told the female Israeli photographer that she should have been assaulted, not saying the R word, by Hummus. Do you condemn Hummus? Hey, Piers Morgan, are you going to talk about this? Are you going to milk it like how you do with all the other YouTube videos? Because when you interviewed Bassem Youssef, you got over 10 million views on that video. And since then, you didn't learn the same freaking lesson. That's right, Piers Morgan, I'm talking to you. Did you not pay attention to what Bassem Youssef did? Because all your segments on YouTube are the same. Do you bloody condemn Hamas? Isn't this sad? What do you have to say about this? What bloody hell? Hey, look at what Israel's doing to U.S. journalists. Oh, but I don't think he's going to talk about that. Are you, Pierce? Do you bloody condemn Hamas? But what they say to this woman, that she should have been assaulted by Hamas. What do you think about that, my friend Jesse Jett? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's totally on par for the IDF. That's their obsession.
While Loffredo's colleagues were released after 11 hours, the Judah and Samira division of the Israeli police opened an investigation into Loffredo for supposedly aiding the enemy in a time of war. Wow. So the Israeli police accusation related to Loffredo's video report for the Grayzone, covering the aftermath of the Iranian missile strikes aimed at the Israeli military installations. According to the police, Jeremy had revealed the locations of missile drops near or inside sensitive security facilities with the aim of bringing this to the notice of the enemy, thereby assisting them in their future attacks. Well, they already had the area BZO'd located in. I mean, nothing from the Grayzone that they could have reported would have changed anything. Just saying. On October 9th, an Israeli court declared that it had reasonable suspicion to extend the journalist's imprisonment. At a hearing the next day, the police insisted that the magistrate's court judge, Zion Sarah, that Loffredo was not an actual journalist, but did not present any evidence. I'm sorry, but did not present any evidence. Whoa. Jesse, I'm stuttering here.
They struggle with that, don't they?
I know.
They really
but
they
did
have
not.
such a hard time with
Hold
that.
on. Let me say if I could read this sentence properly.
So much money, so many weapons, so many soldiers, so little evidence.
Exactly. But did not present any evidence that he was pursuing a hostile or ulterior agenda. Wow. So they don't have any evidence of hostile ulterior agenda? Goodness gracious, Cretaceous. A journalist from the Israeli publication Jett countered the allegation that Loffredo violated Israeli censorship laws by pointing out that the military censor approved his own article in which a tweet containing Loffredo's full video report for the Grayzone was embedded. Judge Sarah ordered Loffredo's release, stating that since the Israeli military censors agreed to allow Jett to publish both word of Jeremy's arrest and the publications that led to his arrest, Israel could no longer justify his continued detention. However, the police appealed.
That's never stopped them before.
However, the police appealed Sarah's decision, protesting that the censor only approved the Jett's article retroactively and would have never done so if it had been submitted in advance. The police also complained that Loffredo had refused to unlock his phone for them. Good. Insisting they needed more time to crack the device. Oh my goodness. With so many crimes going around, heaven forbid that a U.S. journalist is a threat to Israeli security. We believe that we will find things on the phone and we will be able to link him to the alleged crime. So, hey, everybody, I'm introducing everybody's favorite character, the head of the political police. You know him. You love him. Commissar Hans. Political police. Hello, Jesse Jett and Kit Cabello. I understand you have evidence against the state. You will fall in line, eat the bugs, and follow orders. Everybody's favorite political commissar. So the argument, continue on. The argument did not hold water with Jerusalem District Court Judge Hannah Miriam Lump, who, however, the court of first insistence did not when it ordered the release of the respondent. Judge Lump stated that the October 11th appeal from the detailed investigative actions, there is no fear of disruption from Jeremy, and in light of the reasons stated above, the cause of danger is also not clear. Though Lump ordered the journalist release, she gave police until October 20th to continue their digital strip search. Oh, for Christ in heaven, let our boy go. Until then, Loffredo will remain without his passport and will not be permitted to return home to his family in the U.S. Just what Israeli officials hope to uncover in their search for Loffredo's cell phone remains a mystery. Goodness gracious. Also unclear is why the investigation focuses exclusively on Loffredo and not on any of the numerous other reporters who reported the locations of the Iranian strikes. After Iran launched several hundred ballistic missiles at Israeli military targets on October 1st, several international journalists broadcast reports from the scene, blasts including ABC's Matt Gutman and PBS NewsHour's Nick Griffin, because these guys were there. The Grayzone published a statement on October 10th, unequivocally rejecting the Israeli police outrageous accusations against Loffredo. We repeat that we stand by Jeremy's report. The claim that Loffredo and the Grayzone represent Israel's enemy and wartime merely suggests that the Israeli government views the American people and free press as a legitimate target. Indeed, we are an independent outlet with no relationship, financial or otherwise, with any foreign country or political organization. As we fight the fraudulent charges against Jeremy, we ask readers to contact the U.S. State Department and urge them to act in his defense. Hey, U.S. State Department, Count Chocula, are you going to defend one of our own? You pale fuck bastard. The U.S. has an obligation to defend its journalists without political prejudice, particularly when they are fulfilling the vital task of providing the public with facts on the ground. So there you go. I mean, again,
I wish I felt like they couldn't just say, hey, we found evidence of Iranian communications or payments on his phone, and now we're going to charge him. I really don't think our government would do dick about it. I'd love to be wrong, but how many other things have they been able to say, trust us on this, take our word for it. We need to bomb this hospital. We need to bomb this orphanage. We need to bomb this AIDS center. I hope that there is enough attention. I mean, there have been some larger publications that have posted it. They still don't give it the attention they should, because again, this is an American citizen, you know, which shows the level of political persecution that goes on for a journalist, even when they're being detained somewhere, even when shit like this is going on. So yeah, I really hope that it's just a wash, but yeah, it's crazy just the idea of them having your device. I mean, you know, at the best end of the spectrum, they're going to try to plant something on it in terms of bogus information. At worst, they're going to turn it into an explosive device. Like, either way, get rid of that fucking phone as soon as you get it back. Like, don't keep your phone.
Don't keep your phone, buddy. And by the way, that article was written by Wyatt Reed, who we had the opportunity to meet at the DNC convention here in Chicago. I know for a fact that the Grayzone has done phenomenal work. They recently, like a year ago, they were in the fight for their life in a legal battle. Shout out to Max Blumenthal. Shout out to Aaron Mate. Yep. Shout out to the entire crew of the Grayzone. We have a U.S. citizen, folks, that right now can't leave Israel, and his only crime is covering the news. So I think it's perfectly appropriate to play a song, Jesse. I think so, just to maybe lighten the mood. One song in particular called, I believe it's titled, let me make sure that it's correct, American Desires. So if you would give us a pleasure and privilege, we would like to hear this song, my friend.
Absolutely. So, this one, I'll do the spoken word version of this, which I did a re-recording of my first spoken word album because I realized all the pieces still held up. It was, you know, a year plus on, and I was like, honestly, I could re-record all of these right now and they're still just as relevant. So I did, and it was the perennial edition. And I wish I didn't feel like a lot of my songs could have a yearly re-release and I wouldn't have to change any lyrics and it would still be applicable to what we are going through collectively. But sadly, that's where we're at. Yeah, so this was the first piece that I wrote entirely about Palestine. And this is 3.5 years old now.
Still resonates today.
This was written right before Netanyahu ended up getting back into power. So it was one of the first times that I looked back at a piece later, and the next time I ended up performing this, he had won re-election. He was back in office, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, the Netanyahu line has all of a sudden blossomed into a full nightmare. So, yeah, this is American Desires.
Then I shall remove myself. Jesse Jett, the floor is now all yours.
Okay. I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we've funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? That we spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families and apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments? And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And yet every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends all their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. You see, the media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Now perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you'll see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to the oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. Maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. We'll always need a place to train our Contras. And Biden's got a backup plan should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands an Israel, or reasonable effigy, to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East, regardless of the human cost or phosphorus atrocities, all bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. Maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities and nevermore no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches as the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach. Like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down, and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna, and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual until you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. Maybe what hits hardest is the centrists saying both sides need to stop the violence. Those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon will come the day the centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll all just end up shouting in the void that they were all so quick to render us subscribers, and it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, there burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre, which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Call it foreign interests or American desires.
Said, Jesse.
And that is American
Well
desires.
said indeed. Well said indeed. Now, look, folks, we're going to do something a little bit different because you know something else. Folks, we are in this fight for free speech, for independent media, but it's also important that we stand with each other too. And I want to bring up something here. Now, Jesse, don't get upset with me. You might get angry with me. But I want to pull up something that might hit the heartstrings here. But this is my friend and Jesse's friend, named Chanda. You may know her as a trailer park pundit, and you know what? I'm going to try and get her on the show. She did reach out to me. She is in recovery right now, so when she comes onto my show, hey, it's all good. But I want to let you know she's halfway through her goal against battling lung cancer. And so she's in her fight. And you know what? She's going to win.
Absolutely.
And I feel that it's only important that remember we're on each other's side here, folks. There are natural disasters, there's man-made disasters, there's a crisis of World War III, and these politicians are not coming here to save us. We're not getting Medicare
Right.
for all. We're not getting student debt forgiveness. They're not
Yep.
going to come for us. We're on our own.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend Chanda, Jesse's friend Chanda, our friend Chanda is in this fight. And so I'm going to do something different. And I think I'm more solid this time around, Jesse. I have the poem that I read on her live stream. Now, her live stream was taken down.
I know.
And apparently, according to YouTube, it violated their guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it did. Maybe it was a mistake, YouTube. Maybe you should fix it. But I want to read her story. I want to read this poem. Now, it has to deal with this person. His name is Richie Rich. And this has to deal with his sister fighting breast cancer. It's titled I Am Strong. So, Chanda, if you're listening, this one's for you. And for all our loved ones who've lost in cancer, this one's for you. Don't you give up this fight. You're going to win. Because I know winners when I see them. Ooh, here we go. Under this harsh light, I can't hear their words, but their mouths are just moving, everything blurred, and then it goes silent in my head, and that's when I realize you found me again. You've been here before. I remember you well. I remember your taste and your touch and your smell, and you left here defeated. No lesson you've learned. From here we are once more. You're here, you returned. You're an unwelcome guest that I'm keeping at bay. I'm not tortured nor battered by the games you may play. You may think you're stronger. You may think you'll win. Your battle is weak in this war. I will win. So maybe you'll change me, the way that I look. But you won't make me weak from the things that you took. With every attack that you may throw my way, I will come stronger. Let's play it my way. You've taken away things so precious to me. You're hurting my family. Just let us be. You're weak, and you sneak up on people how low. That's the best you can do. Then you may as well go. When all this is over, when you've been banished, when all that you threw at my life has since vanished, when you have relented with no single trace, it will be the last time I look in your face. Do me a favor, folks. Chanda's in her fight, okay? And we're going to win. So do me a favor, everybody who's watching. Type in the chat, F cancer. We're going to win. You hear me, Chanda? I thought I held out better, Jesse. I thought I held out better.
Apologies to everyone in the chat as my phone just died.
It's all good.
I got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, man. That really was.
Yeah. I didn't write it. I didn't write that. I didn't write that.
I know.
I didn't
Well,
write that. I didn't write that. I
but
didn't write that. I didn't write it. I didn't write that.
You powered through that. I know that's not an easy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, folks,
And
our friend,
as someone who knows a lot about crying while he's reading a poem.
yeah.
Kind of my signature move.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have another poem.
You do, Jesse.
What do you know?
Gee, what do you know? Jesse, if you got another poem,
Oh,
have it booted up and suited up because I know you're working on a brand new album. So why don't you read the poem and we'll talk about your new song or your
this
new
will
album?
be on
Okay?
it. This piece, the next record will be concept of listening to the radio, sort of on like how you would pick up multiple stations if you were going cross country. Station comes in, you have it for a while, you lose it, you get something else, things come and go. So it'll give me a chance to do as many genres as I want to jump around to, song to song, as short as I might want something to be, to then cut off and jump right into something else. Gives me a chance to do all my own commercials for fake products. Cy Oppenheimer will get to pop in and do a political ad. Just a lot of like, just a big open sandbox for me to kind of do whatever. And there are an awful lot of songs that I've never been able to find a place for on other albums that I'll be able to put on here finally.
I also want to say something here too, real quick. I know you want to read this, but Molly Littlebird, she wrote this in Rumble right now. I don't know if you're still listening, Molly. She just wrote, "I just lost my big brother. I'm sorry for your loss, Molly Littlebird. I am so sorry." So Jesse,
Absolutely.
let's hear your poetry. Molly, if you're still listening, we love you. We send our best to you and your family and our condolences. Jesse Jett, the floor is yours, my friend.
Tell you what, so this piece, I wrote this right after Julian was released, and it was a very weird time for me because I realized how how cynical I'd become, how jaded I was to everything, that I didn't know how to process good news. I was overanalyzing and scanning every bit of it, trying to figure out when's the other shoe gonna drop, what's the catch, what's the gimmick, it didn't feel real. It felt like it had to be some kind of trap. And then I'm like realizing, like, this is what they've kind of done to us, is that it's all of a sudden something happens that you should be able to celebrate, and you're suspicious of it, because why wouldn't you be? When does something good happen? And everyone was getting on live streams, and obviously it wasn't the perfect win we were hoping for, and because he had to confess to being guilty of journalism, but to see him go home and see him free, and I wanted to feel that without the restrictions of all of that doubt, but I couldn't. And it was like Christmas, where you don't feel the Christmas spirit or something. It was like everyone is feeling this, and I want to, but it's just, there's something wrong with me, And it was nice to know that I wasn't the only one. And it took me a few days to kind of wrap my head around how I felt about it. And as soon as I did, I wrote this piece out almost in its entirety. And then I got to cry and like actually process it and be thankful for what we got. But this piece really takes all the twists and turns of what I was processing, and how I came to what I came to at the end. This is called The Win. All we get before we go. We almost never cop a W. The fourth estate is subterfuge. Like, what the fuck's a win? So when we got our taste of paradise, joy was in the air, and I just could not let it in. I was Trapper John McIntyre, shrugging off the ceasefire, sulking in my gin. Just sitting, waiting for the rapid fire, peace talks on the tapping wire, lost into the wind. Now journalism's greatest sin is putting truth to print. Camp on full parade like happy days are here again, and I was watching from my tent knowing this is not the end. With thoughts that dwell on freedoms that our laws do not defend, who just lost their closest cellmate, only confidant and friend. He is leaving on a jet plane, and they might not meet again. He is off to plead his guilt for thinking we might take a stand. The crime to have assumed the best of man. Now,
I'm not VP Harris, so I needn't try pretend that I can see this world unburdened by the truth of what has been, that I don't see a future where they've cashed in our consent, where you could land in Belmarsh for possession of a pen. The leads are buried deep beneath the tongues that spoke dissent, and Jesus, you will not forget the scent. But if I so know our ruling class, just what did I expect? How did this play out within the confines of my head? Did I expect the Davos gang to tearfully repent? Did I expect the CIA to graciously relent, to bow out like, you got us, guess we'll just be on our way? Then they clean out all their desks and march themselves down to The Hague? Did deep down somehow I still think some rules-based law pervades, in spite of all this evidence that overwhelms my brain? They do not need a precedent to bury us in chains, like they do not need a president to carry out their aims. That corpse up on the stage is our commander just in name, and the ones who pull his strings are running out of things to say. His very touch has desiccated fundamental change, while the donors pick the profits off the bones of Boeing's planes. I've no way of knowing who will place us in our grave, but I know who fronts the cost, and I know who bears the blame. And I know who picks the picture our memorial displays, and I know who quotes the scripture as the mosques go up in flames, and I know who plays the victim as their bulldozing remains, and I know who owns our votes, and either way, it's all the same. Then we got a taste of victory, but I just tasted doubt, like I popped too many red pills. Now I'm foaming at the mouth. Now I'm combing through these videos to satisfy myself, as though anything I'd find could ever help. I'm a stranger in my skin when there's a victory on the breeze. My nerves are pulled so thin I barely touch, much less perceive. But everyone I know is feeling genuine relief. And God, I wish so much that could be me. But deformed by my suspicions, I can't lift my head to hope. I am waiting for that other shoe to drop down on our throats. It is very much a win to see him finally going home. But perhaps the bigger win is not our own. Perhaps we've won a battle, but the war is set in stone. Buried under Gaza's beaches, refugees, and bones. Perhaps we never stood a chance, and speech is bought and sold. Perhaps they target journalists to stop our history cold. And every anchor drags you down to share what they've been told, the basic facts you need to know to keep you in the fold. Shaped by those intent to not see Gazans growing old as the Nazi referendum takes its hold. Well, suppose one day those anchors cannot find the will to speak. They cannot muster up the gloss to brighten so much bleak. Suppose they reach a point where they can't act like nothing's wrong, just to find their voice was silent all along. Perhaps we'll reach a point where we're surviving off of leaks, where even something whispered beckons welcome of a breach. We'll finally get the picture and we'll understand our needs, but find that we lack access to free speech. For now, I feel no sudden flash of hope grab hold of me, and I don't feel any safer than I did this time last week. But when I saw them finally free to touch each other's cheek, I think I felt a win, and I will learn to let it be. Perhaps the little victories are the only ones we'll know. Perhaps there is no greater win than finally being home, than holding close a loved one who you lost so long ago. Suppose that's all we get before we go. And that's the win.
And in the off chance, in case Julian Assange is listening to this, we hear an independent media say, "Welcome home, we love you." And may someday you get the justice and peace that is rightfully yours. Someday, just not today. So, Jesse, you're working on a brand new album. Good friend of the show, Indy from INN News, Reef Breland, Colin Radix Carter. They've been telling me you got some secret sauce in the works. And you know something else? You know what? Hold on. Because of this, it must be revealed. Say it again, Prophet Cat Williams.
All lies will be exposed.
What are you working on for your new album?
Oh. So everything is written. I wrote the last piece that will go on it last week, and I have recorded a couple so far. So now it's just a matter of getting it recorded, which sometimes only takes me a few days of actually hunkering down and committing to do it. It's the switch. There is a distinctly different brain setting between writing mode and then recording, producing mode. And this especially is more daunting than anything else because I want this to be able to flow as one piece. I want to be able to listen to this from front to back and feel like you're just on a road trip and stations are coming and going. So how I connect these is going to be a bit more of a process than it's ever been before. But that said, everything is written. It's just getting myself down here to do some recording. So I would like to have it not be a year between records, and Live from the Black Site came out in January, so I got to step on it. But I'm pretty confident
you better,
that we can make that happen.
Or else.
Yeah,
Or else indeed. But no, man. I mean, Jesse, first of all, I'm really excited to hear your new album drop. I mean, I've been playing your songs. You know, for those you don't know, have been watching or have been watching us. Every time we end the show or we do an interview, we have one of your music or songs, poetry being played at said interview or live stream show, and it's already been exposed to much of my Chicago viewing audience for Can TV. And, as always, you're speaking truth to power, and I'm really just glad to hear you working on a new project. So perhaps maybe if you would consider this, would you be open to sharing another song or poem from your new album if we can request that?
Yeah.
Maybe one or two, if that's all right. Maybe do a back-to-back special or just one. A dealer's choice.
Tell you what, I got... Oh, well, my phone's dead, so I can't see chat. I don't know if chat's in the mood for one more heavy piece, and then we close with something a little lighter.
Yeah, I would like that. Let's do those two back to back.
So,
I will speak for the chat. I am removing democracy. Behold, everybody. Hold on, wait a minute. Behold, I am removing democracy because I will decide. Behold, everybody. I am the evil dictator, and I will decide. So shut up about your freedoms. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. So, okay. Well, how about this? Jesse, you do two things back to back. I'll ask you some questions. So right now, the floor is yours. So I think you got like 10 minutes. Make them laugh. Make them cry, Jesse. Right. As you should. All the time. Every time. Folks, yes, I am a tyrant. What part do you not understand? Like, oh, Kid Cabela's being a tyrant. Well, I can't debate against you if you're speaking facts. So, Jesse, you have the king's command. The floor is yours. I shall remove myself. Take it away, Jesse. We're looking forward to your second album.
All right. This was a short little piece I wrote about Anthony Blinken, about how just what inhuman monsters our elected officials and leadership are, and how desperately they have to try to play up normal things they do so they seem like real people. This is called humanization attempts. Tony pulls the skin back from his loose and sagging cheeks to stretch it firmly taut, lest it start drooping while he speaks. He pulls his jacket tight across his cold, unmoving chest, and Secretary Blinken is prepared to meet the press. And just like every other day, he'll read a sterile script. He'll praise the press and never let Assange escape his lips. America confessed Assange would not escape its grip, or the assurances of serpents who've envenomed every surface with the poison of their purpose till it positively drips. It's the very poison you've spent every waking moment drinking, the same inhuman fuel that keeps the secretary blinking, and he looks right through the camera, and you cannot help but thinking that his pupils seem to fill his eyes. The whites are slowly shrinking until solid black and doll-like they stare out into space. Horrible and godlike, inhuman leers the face. He smiles like he's never seen a smile in all his days and says,
says, I like to play guitar when I'm not sowing massive graves. He leaves the network talking heads agape with bated breath. He's so relatable and human for a minister of death. But as they keep exhuming any human trait that's left, they quickly scrape its depth. As shallow as the West itself, and deaf to those who've wept. As silent as the West itself when all the camps are swept. And yes, the current camps are far from where your needs are kept, but they are coming soon to a town near you, and you've watched them as they've crept inches closer. Each election, every changing of the guard, who is posted at a cell, which is exactly where we are, and no matter who is guarding us, they only wish us harm. They will never grant you freedom. They will not return your arms. So study Stockholm scent till you can catch it on the wind. All those pitiful attempts of those with such convincing skin to humanize themselves that you might start to let them in. To think they're just like you, or even worse, that you're like them. That's humanization attempts. And I need to grab the other guitar. Just a second. I think you're still muted, bro.
I shall now filibuster. I shall now filibuster. Folks, by the way, in the show notes area, I actually have a link for all of you guys and gals to support Jesse Jett and all of his music. Again, please be sure to follow him on all of his social media. He's doing some phenomenal work, folks. This is Jesse Jett, where you can find this good stuff. Again, live from the Black Site, Kings of Colonies, and then the Sky Slam Shut. Everyone who disagrees with you is an extremist. After all, hey, Jesse Jett, did you know that Trump is now a communist? That's right.
Really?
Mark
That's
Cuban.
new?
Yeah, I know. Mark Cuban called Trump a communist. That's right, Trumpers. You're one of us now. Well, here's the thing. I'm not a communist. But hey, guess what? Because everyone's being called a communist by corporate media, Trumpers, now you're in the club. And Barack Obama, called Trump. Yeah, he's like Fidel Castro. So there you go. There you go, folks. Trump is like Fidel Castro. He's a communist. Trumpers, embrace it. Hey, Jesse, wouldn't it be funny? Like one day, all the Trumpers wake up and they'd be like, they'll find a picture of Stalin in their living room. Like, how did this happen? Mark Cuban and Obama flew all over the country and delivered pictures of Stalin. Hey, Trumpers, we say this out of love. Look, you don't have to yell at me. Mark Cuban called Trump a communist, and Obama, I covered this on today's show, if you tune in the morning, called Trump Fidel Castro. I didn't make it up. The people who are authoritative did. I'm only reporting the news. I am only following orders. Political police. Everybody's favorite Commissar Hans showed up.
Oh, so I have to share a fun little story. One of the best testimonials I've ever received for my music came from someone at work. And I don't talk about my political stuff to a whole lot of people, but someone who knew about it in passing, who's one of the higher ups at my job, came up to me the other day and he goes, "Hey, guess what I did on Sunday night?" I said, "What?" He goes, "I listened to a bunch of your stuff on Spotify." And I said, "Uh-oh." And he goes like, I'm really on board. I love your message. I was really impressed. He said, there's so much that comes at you, so much information in the span of one song. He started with Buying the Theft. That was the first song he listened to. Right. And he said it was like eating a whole pan of brownies in one sitting. And I was like, that's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about my music. Yeah. When you consider my lyrical content and the subject matter, a pan of brownies is about the nicest thing you could compare. One man's pan of brownies, is another man's pan of excrement.
Somebody's asking if I'm wearing a kilt. Yes. Hold on. It's all what you get to see. My manly man's knee right here. I am wearing a kilt, Dan. All right. I am wearing my manly man kilt because we actually got the 3,000 followers on Rumble. And so that means next week I'm wearing a manly man's kilt throughout all of Monday through Friday. All right. Weekends excluded because Uncle Kit needs a day off. Okay. Come on, folks. You can't be making me work like a horse every day, all the time. So, Jesse, you got a brand new song. Dude,
To be fair, this is not a brand new song, but this was a request from Animators, and when Anna makes a request, oh my gosh, we honor it. This is a good closer. We've had a lot of heavy subject material, and I was like, let's do this is a good
yes.
one to wrap on because it's nice and fun.
And one other thing here too, I am not Scottish. I'm Sicilian, Germanic, and English. That's my bloodline. So there you go, Jesse. Floor is yours, brother.
All right, this is a one off of a record that is only on Bandcamp still, and that is my doo-wop EP, The Geiger Age. If you want to hear me with a little bit of bourbon in me be in my own barbershop quartet, it's a hoot. Honestly, it's one of my favorite projects I've done. I do plan on doing a sequel to that sometime when I have all this time that's gonna just magically fall in my lap one day. Until then, this is the title track off of that. This is called The Geiger Age.
I'm a child of the Geiger Age. I'm not the only one. My mama raised me off of stories about the sun, 'cause it was gone. Far as she could tell, it was gone. Blocked out by the smog, and if the smog ain't moving on, that sun is gone. Well, my eyes have seen the glory of industrial disease. My mama raised me off toys about the trees, 'cause they were gone. For all my mama knew, the trees were gone. They roasted inside out, and ain't no so fit to sprout. Those trees are gone. Well, she had an optimistic streak, or maybe she was scared. But bless her soul, my mama said the ocean would be spared, and now it's gone. By the time I reached the shore, it all was gone. Well, I'm glad she didn't live to see the day that she was wrong. But when I reached the ocean, it was gone, gone, gone.
And that's The Geiger Age.
You know, Jesse, I know time is short, but you know what? Because I'm in charge, you better take one more swig of that beer.
Uh-oh.
Play it again one more time, Charlie. Play it again. Charlie. Play it again one more time, Charlie, please. Play it again,
Oh, yeah,
Charlie.
you got it.
One more time. All right, and then we'll be wrapping up the show, and we'll play some music from Jesse Jett from Buying the Theft. But Jesse, take it away one more time.
Let's play it higher.
That's right. That's right. Play it again, Charlie. All right, Jesse. Hey.
I'm a child of the Geiger Age. I'm not the only one. My mama raised me off of stories about the sun, 'cause it was gone. Far as she could tell, it was gone. Blocked out by the smog, and if the smog ain't moving on, that sun is gone. Well, my mama, oh Lord, Lord, oh, my eyes have seen the glory of industrial disease. Oh, my mama raised me telling tales about the trees, 'cause they were gone. For all my mama knew, the trees were gone. Oh, roasted inside out, and ain't no so fit to sprout. Those trees are gone. He had an optimistic streak, or maybe she was scared. reached the ocean, it was gone, gone, gone.
Well done.
One
Now
more
listen-
time.
No, I can't do that to you. I can't do that to you. But listen.
Higher.
Ah! And this is Commissar Hans who will follow the orders.
Industrial disease.
The Commissar says follow the orders.
Oh, God.
Hold on, wait, better yet. Here's Barack Obama, Mickey, bringing our favorite friend. All right, you folks, bring it in for everyone's favorite Commissar. Hans. All right, everyone, follow the orders. So later on, in INN News, they're doing their show today. So you will follow the orders and go to their live stream and support Indie News Network. They're doing great stuff. And folks, before we end this show, real quick here, good friend of the show, Chanda, she's in the fight for her life against cancer. She's halfway through to her goal. Please, she's a good friend of the show. We love her so much. We love her absolutely with everything. Please, folks, support her, follow her work. She has done phenomenal work. And so, folks, I encourage all of you, please do the right thing. We now have music, surprise, surprise, by Jett closing this thing out. But Jesse, is there anything you want to promote real quick before we play the end close credits? But again, thank you so much for joining us for this special late evening live stream. Anything you want to share with the people before we go?
I mean, you can check out all my stuff on Bandcamp. All my records are free. Lyrics are all up there. It's also on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere else. But Bandcamp is a great place to have all the lyrics there. And then if you are so inclined to buy a record, you can buy it for whatever you want to buy it for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then find me on INN on American Tradition, and then we do clip shows as well. I'm not sure if we're doing one tonight.
I think there is one. Indy's in the chat, and he said that yes, he is. And real quick, I want to acknowledge some super chats here. FU says $10. A Battle with some emojis. There you go. A Mars tipped $1.99 for Geiger Age of Love, and of course Tyler Russ gave us a super sticker $10. We do appreciate the generosity with the super chats. Thank you so much. For our Rumble and Jungle people, we got $2 from Kinky, who tipped. Thanks, Kit. What a show. Jesse, so talented and love it. Thank you, everyone, for your kindness, your generosity. Kick people, we're always number one. Shout out to our Pope, Pope PhD, Dr. Nicholas Riviera, the first. Dr. Nick in the house. And yes, folks, we are number one in political live streaming on Kick because we are going to be number one on Kick. We're going to take over the Kick platform. That's simple as that. 1, 2, 3. Stop debating. Shout out to my VIP lounge. Shout out to my Rumble people. Shout out to my YouTube people. Much love to everybody in the live stream chat. I mean, seriously, you guys and gals are awesome. Thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity with the super chats and so much else. Indy posted a link. So, folks, here is some music by Jett, Buying the Theft. So if you don't got to get it, if you don't get it, go figure it out. Jesse, I'll see you on the flip side. Chanda, we love you. You will win the day. My name is Kit. And I'm going to enjoy my weekend. Time to get drunk and high, folks.
Do it.
That's the king's orders. That's the king's command. Jesse, we love you. We got to do this again. See you next time, buddy.
Thank you, fam.
Land of the free, and you'll know us by the trail of dead. It's just one more world war to complete the set. When you live by the pike, you die by the pith. You die wide-eyed, still pleading the fifth, or crying divine epithets and pathetic attempts at defense. All empathetic for those on your side of the fence. Well, I'll gladly put you and your legacy into an alternate tense of faltering senses and altered events. Like hunted ain't a hearse, it's a reaper's stretch. Ah, how sweet, she said. Bunch of hordes in the street like it's Evil Dead. Where the thin blue line meets razor's edge. And where the corporate ladder ascends to a steel-toed boot that awaits on the ledge. You'll be licking it fresh at your boss's request till it stops each finger and watches you fall to your death and drown in an ocean of debt. Gone with the fodder who gathered to honor the patient left, who purity tested themselves into sections, step by step, till the next election, when it's just one them and the sound of their well-read theorized breath. That's harm reduction for the lowly cost of you holding your nose and just openly buying the theft. Maybe that's all in the flick of the pen. Maybe we're all one unmarked van from a trip to the pen, being guarded by pigs who exist on a diet of dying breaths of much worthier men. Honey, heaven's expecting you. Just don't get too hung up on who they let in. Just look up at the shine of the pearly gates. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the paint. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the water, lead in the milk, lead in the honey, lead in the caustic embrace of the Heavenly Father. Lead is the flavor of passive perpetual slaughter. Lead is the taste of us led to the ledge by the lure of the legend of expert consensus, and then beckon to stretch it just one step farther. And I hope all the folks who were boastfully gloating and toasting themselves as the heroes of COVID for boosting their boosters and doing their part are now equally thrilled to be starstruck martyrs, all laid in a government grave with anonymous markers, like you're back from the carvers and off to the splicer. You're the very first wave to be slain in the war against Pfizer, that 100 years war against Pfizer. They are thinning the crowd that is striking right now to bleed adequate pay from those inhuman misers, who all sit in their office and designate coffins to people regarded as nothing but profit for Kaiser. Still the Dems want you nicer. Dems want you softer. Dems want you kinder. Yeah, they all want you graciously starving in silence. You will speak when you're spoken to. Rest of the time, you and all of us peasants are merely depressing statistics neglected in Congress's binders. All bled, bone dry, then fed to the grinder. Our headstones lie in each step as reminders. That's a lesson in object permanence learned in the furnace by workers consigned to the fire. Workers bled, bone dry, then fed by the fed to the grinder. Fed by the fed to the grinder. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, and it dines on the dead. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. And the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, bleeds you dry, then dines on the dead. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dies on the dead. Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your mind, that it grinds yourself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dies on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led.
All lies will be exposed.